Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? I apologize for being a little bit behind schedule. There was a last minute setup change. I hope everybody is well. And I see Mer is in. I think Mer was actually going to be joining us from, well, just on location. So Mer, I'll send you in. Does it work? Mer, do you want to send me one? I have cancelled it. Go live. Yay!
Die.
Well, that's a different setup.
I feel very contented here in my swingy chair. I'm going to be like Shane and swing around the place while I'm doing my live streams.
It's not going to
What a
squeak,
lovely
is it?
Just to let you all know, lads, I am in Carlo Rugby Club because it's crazy busy evening as per usual. But our Fionn was training and then our senior teams are in a semi-final. So I am technically cheating. I am looking at the window at the scoreboard because I was actually very funny. I usually tweet all the scores of the matches as well. And literally I was walking in going, uh-oh. And why do I want to tweet? Here.
Yeah.
Here's my phone. But I can give you the password for today.
Yeah.
Just have another tweet.
Delegation, Mark. Delegation.
All about it. All about it. I'm also drinking Coke tonight, but it's in a nice glass.
Oh, well, I've toned it down for a second because I'm now on tea.
Well, to be fair, it was a very late night last night.
It was
So tea is probably
very
needed.
yeah.
Yes.
I just want to do kind of a formal introduction for everybody. Welcome back to Double D's live podcast, episode 3. The weeks are actually flying by. And we did have a super busy day yesterday, so I can't say that we are super, super prepared for today. So we're just going to have to go with the flow and see where the conversation takes us. We like a bit of randomness around here.
You're going to wing it and it'll all be fine.
Exactly. So, Mer, with that in mind, how was your week?
My week was actually very good. It was crazy busy. I was back in Clare's for the week. And just covering Aoife is who works for Claire is amazing, and she was on a very well deserved holiday. So I was back in my little happy bubble covering with Claire for a little while and chilling out with Duvan and telling him he's great and he's wonderful. And yeah, but just busy, the usual busy madness. We were in Punchestown then for the Irish Draft National Show on Saturday. And that was lovely, I have to say. Obviously kind of close to our heart with Eileen at home, and she's so heavily involved in the Laois branch of the Irish Draft Society. But always nice to get up and have a little wander around and have a look at the horses. There was a couple of cracking young stock classes in it as well. They were really lovely. And then what did I do? I came back down then for a rugby match on Saturday evening, and because that's what we do now apparently. And Sunday we just chilled out at home on Sunday. Very easy breezy. The lads were doing a few cattle and I was pottering basically. How was your week?
It was, do you know what, Mer? I actually see when I'm asked that question, or when I go to sit down at the doc that we have for the podcast, I'm like, what did I do this week? And I know I said the same thing on the pod last week. I was like, I can't remember what I did. Like literally the days are rolling into one and I feel like I'm under a bit of a fog. Like getting loads done, really busy, can't remember jack shit.
Days are kind of, not that they're the same, but it's like you get up, You work, you go, you do, you get up,
Yeah,
work, you
like
go, you do.
John had a really busy weekend. He had stuff that he had to do on the farm. One of the schemes, he has to plant new trees and he has to fence off this, that, and the other, and he had to make L boxes, which was kind of cool. Yeah, he'd put two L boxes on the land, and I'm like, that would be really cool if they were filled. And I hope somebody doesn't come in and tell me that L's are like, you know, you don't want them around, because I'm like, that'd be really cool. But anyway, so he had to make those and put them up. And then we also had hay on the ground and there's just bits and pieces like that. So I felt like I was just kind of at home, based at home, and kind of just literally probably running around in a circle like a hamster.
You and chilling. Like,
Oh yeah. What did I do though? Zara is my previous event horse, and she's out in the field now with her gorgeous filly foal, and oh my God, she is just turning into the sweetest thing. She really is. Like, you can go to her and she's lying down and she's just good old scratches, and she's getting ready for worming and stuff like that. So I'm like, how quiet actually is she? But like, I'm starting to kind of like handle her and do bits and pieces with her feet and stuff like that. So that's lovely. But Zara, I looked at her. I was away somewhere in the afternoon and I came back and she's crippled. I was like, sorry, what now? I was like, literally, she was walking in slow motion. And I was like, why is she? And she was just grazing. So I was like, I know she's just pottering along grazing, but I was like, that's really slow, the way she's walking or whatever. Anyway, she had a bit of an abscess in her hind hoof, and I went out, I looked at it. Yeah, and it broke out or whatever, and she felt the relief almost instantly. But I was just like, oh my God, like literally from that morning to that afternoon, I was like, what?
yeah.
And I always know, like, I mean, I always get a fright when you see an abscess. You always get a fright when you see an abscess because it's so sore on them. You know what I mean? But I was just like, do you know what? This bloody weather, and like that's what happened. Like, and she's not in a mucky field, but it just changed. It just went from dry to
Like, we came up this evening. I had a sleeveless, a gillet, as Shayna call it, and it was quite nice. Got out of the car, it started to rain. Standing outside, sun was shining. Like, you just actually wouldn't know what it's going to do.
Yeah,
it's very frustrating, to be fair.
It really is. But the other thing that I was kind of preparing for was Paige going to preschool. So she started on Monday, yesterday. And to say that, and I know, God, I sound like a broken record, as in we've been having trouble with like early morning risings because of the potty training. Yeah. She had this newfound freedom, and it's very, very hard to keep her in bed post 5:00 a.m. But I was trying to get her to nap before she went.
Yeah.
Because normally her nap time is in the middle of the day. And she did, but she wanted to stay longer, and I had to wake her, and she was in foul humour, and I was like, literally, I'm going to have to drop her off now. And I just felt like such a heel. But she actually was super, really, really super. And the way they did it, they kind of sent out a message in advance, and they're like, look, just drop and go. We found that it's definitely the best way forward. Yeah. They're fine once you leave. So I was like, right, okay. But it was literally drop and go. I was like, I didn't even really get to say goodbye. I was like, but I was all of it did it. Like, obviously my adrenaline was up from trying to get her ready for it and all of this. I'm like, calm on the surface, but underneath, like, you're literally like flat.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't
pour a coffee in the duck.
Yeah. But we should actually address that, because that's a question that's been asked a few times. Let's go back to that in a second. But write that down. Write that down. But I came out of the place and like I went the wrong way. I meant to go like I went the wrong way. I had to go up and turn around and everything. I was shaking, and I said to myself, right, because she's only in for a couple of hours every day this week. So I said I'll park up at this kind of like a whole place that's close by to us. I was like, I can work on the laptop. I'll get this done, this done, this done. I wasn't fit to do anything. No. I swear, I got a few things done, and then I was like, oh my God, like I was literally, I was shaking. I didn't even get a coffee, because I was like, if I get another coffee, I'll be like trembling, but it was like, I was fine. I wasn't upset or anything. I wasn't even emotional, like, because I knew she would be fine. Yeah. And of course they sent through a few photos and stuff like that, just to kind of reassure everyone, which was lovely.
I
But yeah, it
mean,
was kind of just preparing for that. And yeah, it was a funny one.
but it-
So it was
it's a
just
tough one though, because it's their first step of independence, and it's their real first step without us, like completely without us, and that
like when
is
I took her to the toddler group, so when I took her into kind of the play centre, I was like, she'd look at you and just walk off. You know what I mean? And you're going, right, okay, I love that independent side of her. But at the same time, I was still there. If she looked up, I
yeah,
was
you
around. You know
are
what I mean?
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of just felt like that was slightly different. Now today was great actually. She managed to go down for a nap here at home early, and then as a result had a good sleep before she went in. And it was
Brilliant.
much slower pace going in today. And I was like, there's enough room here and enough time for her to backtrack if she
Yeah,
wants. And she didn't. So I was like, hey.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. I love
So,
it
and then
because Fionn
on the way,
was,
yeah.
oh, like it was horrific,
Oh,
like
stop.
actually horrific, Sarah. So we got really, really lucky when Fionn was born. We lived with my mum and dad, and so like, and mum and dad obviously absolutely adored him.
Hmm.
So it wasn't until I went back to work then, and we had an unbelievable childminder in Ballin. Like she had kids herself. He was in her house. Like she was absolutely brilliant. And then we moved, so he had to go into the creche. But it would have been his first time, kind of with a big group of kids going in. Same thing, being left on his own. And when I say, like, I was scarred for life. Like I remember ringing my sister, going, "I can't do this." Like I am going back in for him. If I have to climb in the window, I'm going back in for him. Like he would cling to me,
Oh, God.
cling to the gate, cling to, oh, it was awful. Now, it lasted maybe, I'm going to say about a week and a half. And then it got gradually easier and easier and easier. And as the routine came in and as he got used
Yeah.
to it and knew I was coming back, but it was,
A tough,
oh, sweet.
tough going. Yeah.
Oh, and my
And like
boy
it's
wouldn't do it. He
a
didn't want.
visceral reaction from you. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
it's a visceral reaction. You can't control that kind of want to just go in and grab them. Like run.
and keep him there forever. Like, you'll be
I
fine.
know.
He's with me forever and ever. But like, I think Paul did it once, and he said to me, "I actually can't more. I'm really sorry, but I can't do
Yeah.
that again." I was,
Yeah.
"Oh, Jesus." And
But
then,
look, and now look at him. Now look at you trying to keep him at home.
like, any chance you might have to stay beside me for half an hour, please?
Yeah, yeah,
Happy
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
yeah.
that. Like,
Love it. Oh, you did your job right, Murray. You've done your job right so far.
look, depending on the devil, in fairness to him, like,
Exactly.
he'll be mad.
And
He'll
it
be
did
mad.
help as well that we had the Abbey Lyle event
Oh,
last night. So that was a bit of a distraction as well. I was kind of
oh,
prepping for that. And it was lovely, I think, to spend a bit of time with you and Shane in the car on the way up and on the way back
it's
or
great.
whatever and have the
Would you like
chat.
to
Just
sing
kind
the
of
song,
because
Phil?
I haven't been able to go to many of the events. You know what I mean? So it's still quite a novelty for me to kind of hit the ground and chat to people. And yeah, it was
Listen to Shane's trance music.
like I mean, he didn't play that yesterday, did he? No, he played decent stuff yesterday. A
No,
couple
he
of songs
actually
he
has
was
good
like,
taste in music, to be fair to him. He has good taste in music.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, no, I can listen to that. That's all right. I
Yeah, he
wasn't
does.
judging him too
He does.
harshly.
Where's
I
your
was like,
direction
I'm
for
not listening to
Dublin?
mine.
Like, 5:30 in the morning and he coming out across the car park with music blaring. It's like your neighbours must love you, Shane.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, like,
My God.
oh,
What is
his
your
energy.
style of music, Mark? Like, what
Oh,
do you
I have a really eclectic taste in music. I
like?
could listen to absolutely anything. Like, I would actually nearly go so far as to say I don't even really have a style of music. Like, I prefer going on and
Mm.
putting on a random playlist that could come up with anything, and I'll quite happily bop along to myself. Like, if it's, I don't like hardcore trance, really. I'd have to be really trying to like pump myself up for something.
Yeah.
But other than that, that and Daniel O'Donnell. Sorry, Daniel O'Donnell lovers. Don't mean to alienate people, but I
Okay,
just
sorry.
can't
I was
with Daniel O'Donnell.
poor
Just,
Daniel. Come on, poor Daniel. Didn't he have to cancel the concert there the other day? I think I saw that. Yeah, I think I saw.
Daniel, I apologize. It wasn't my doing, I promise. I didn't slip to people. It's just not my. You know when things like spark memories? So like
Yeah.
that Donald makes me think of like being young and being at home on New Year's Eve and him singing at 12 o'clock. And that's
Right.
just like what clicks in my head. And I don't know why, but I'm like, oh, I probably wanted to be out with my friends somewhere and I wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I don't like Boral Daniel.
Oh God. Mine would be my music is actually I'm probably a bit dark.
Really?
Yeah, so okay, so obviously I love to be able to sing along to something. So give me something that I can actually like sing. I can't sing, by the way.
Oh no.
Chrissy's back in. Chrissy's back in going, not Daniel. Sorry for laughing, but there's just the drama behind it. It's just cracking.
Brilliant.
Um, but yeah, my music taste is quite like I obviously love to sing and dance and I said like as I can't sing, so like I don't do it in front of people. I do it in the car on my own.
Love a good
But
fun fact.
I do. A friend of mine actually came over from America years ago, and she was like, "I made you this CD," and I was like, "Right," and she was like, "But I don't know if I should give it to you," and I was like, "Okay," and she says, "But." She was in the car with me for a couple of days at that stage, and she was like, "But," and I recommended was it Walking Cars? Do you remember that band? Are they
Oh
from down
yeah.
in Cork
Good call.
or down in Kerry or
Yeah. You
something?
were
And I was playing them,
yeah.
and she was like, "I made you like a playlist, but I didn't know if I should give it to you or not. It's a bit dark." And she says, "But now that I know what you listen to, I'm like, this isn't dark enough for you." So So I have like, yeah, I tend to kind of like that. Not
I thought
is
like
it
give us an example.
well, the likes of walking on cars, you know what I mean, or James Arthur, that real kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
hitting,
Oh,
like a little borderline,
yeah.
you
Like
know,
right on the edge. I like it. I like it.
yeah,
I
that's
might
kind of
feel
mine.
people's music taste reflects their personalities.
I
Like
think
I
it's
would say
so
I have
it's so timely, isn't it? Like, so for
yeah.
example, like what I particularly love about any song, and I could probably categorically go across the board and say if the song doesn't have lyrics, I'm not listening to it, or decent
No.
lyrics, I'm not listening
Yeah.
to it. So I love a song with lyrics. I love a song with a story. Any lyrics that don't even make sense, I'm like, good luck. You know what I mean? So I love when they have a story. I love when they have lyrics. That's probably why I tend to go with
Yeah.
the darker one.
Yeah.
But like, I think I want to listen to that if I want to get like. There's certain songs I go to if I want to get motivated. There's certain songs I
Yeah.
go to if I want to kind of like have a cry. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And feel sorry for myself
definitely.
for
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah.
Like I think
For that, like
probably all
def-
have them.
I think so. And like what I find fascinating now is like if I'm at home, right, and I'm like cooking the dinner, or I was going to say ironing, but I don't iron, so that would be the complete barefaced lie. But like doing something pottering at home, I will tend to have like Irish trad music on, and it's not even like I don't even think about it. I literally was like, oh yeah, that's grand. Like, but now. Like I got into the car the other day, into Fion's car, and that's what he was listening to. And I was like, oh, I wonder how much of an influence like my music choice has now had. Now, bearing in mind, he is as mad as a badger. Like he definitely took a streak after his mummy. Like it went from Irish trad to scooter to what's the but I used to do that when he was little. Like
It's like my dad has often said to me, my dad has put on a song and I've been able to sing it. And he's like, how do you know the words to that song? I was like, Dad, we grew up listening to that song. We did our
yeah,
Saturday chores
yeah,
listening to that song.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
and it's all like Seal, and even there was James Taylor
Oh,
thrown in,
no, but the
and
calls,
obviously
yeah,
Michael Jackson, George Michael, like that kind of vibe. The Beatles, obviously, are from Dad. But yeah, all that
yeah.
kind of like,
Well, I'll tell you a funny one. Myself and my sister, right? You've met Neve, haven't you? My sister Neve.
yeah. Where did I
Oh,
meet her recently?
at the conference. She dropped me up to
Yes,
the Changemaker conference.
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
So myself and Neve are 10 years apart, right? 10 years in the difference in us. And we're bizarrely similar in loads of ways, but completely different, like totally different. Now, the two of us had talked the hind legs off of you, but in completely different capacities and completely different ways. So when Fionn was small, she was getting my nephew Keen ready for bed, and I was getting Fionn ready for bed. And two of us sitting on the floor in mum and dad's pajamas out and the whole kit and caboodle, and Neve was going, love a Suez, love a Suez. Was going, put your hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air. The two of us looked over. Mom was in the convulsion. She was like, that's the two of you there now. That is the
That
difference
is hilarious.
between like,
That is hilarious.
She's a secondary school teacher. She's like she's so intelligent, unbelievably intelligent. But like we have such, I think we have very similar core values, and you definitely know that we grew up in the same house and we grew up with the same kind of priorities around us. But our personalities are chalk and cheese. Like it's hilariously funny. Although I did get a little bit of my way with Maeve now, because Maeve is still into the old horses, so I'll take that. I like Maeve. And oh God, socks.
Yeah, well, you're the fun aunt when it comes to that one. Laura came in, she was like, Taylor Swift discography can't go wrong. You get all the genres. Yeah, like I mean, you can't go wrong, can you? You
can't go wrong with Taylor Swift in general. In fairness, like
no,
she isn't there. Like
no,
be very clear.
No, you can't. What I did, and it's kind of fresh off the event last night, was something that, one, we were talking about in the car on the way up, obviously, but then two, Abby actually touched on it when she was in, I think somebody might have asked her a question in the Q&A, and it was basically about kind of social media and the positivity around it or the negativity around it. And I mean, so from Equitas perspective, we have been incredibly lucky, like as in the people that we have met and people that we've come across, like, I mean, they're just phenomenal. You know, now, like in fairness, we're kind of seeking them out. You know what I mean? We're looking for those type of people. So I get that too. But I think you could probably say that the vibe in that event last night, there was 100 and, I want to say 20, 30, 40 women. Primarily women. There was definitely a few guys, but like I'd say probably, would you say 85%, 90% women. And it was a really, really good vibe. And Courtney said at one point that Abby was quite nervous. You know, and she had to remind Abby that people are there for her. They like her. They want to learn. You know, all of that. And it just got me thinking. Then when she was asked the question about social media, it was like she was like, "Oh, I have to delete the app." And I was like, how does that change? How does it change, and why does it change? And it just kind of got me thinking, like, women support women, and like it's something I'm extremely passionate about. And I'm passionate about, obviously, with Equitas, but then obviously with Envious too, Envious Dress Hire, the other business. That has kind of what has sparked that into kind of growing in a different element. But it's just how do we foster the mentality of supporting women to their core? And like respectfully being able to disagree with women, absolutely, because we're all different. But I just wonder why women sometimes find it so hard to unequivocally support each other and openly support each other.
I've been doing a lot of thinking about this recently, because even outside of Equitas, like I have had very, very minimal kind of, I don't want to even use the term hate, but people that have come back and said derogatory things or have not liked my page. Like I'm very, very open on Life After the Art. If you don't like me, just go away. Like you don't have to look at me. It makes no odds to me. I'm knocking great crack out of this, carry on. Like, but is it a case that because of the culture that we grow up in, that, and I don't know if this is coming from my own views, because I grew up in racing yards, and you kind of had to grow up hardy. You had to be tough, and you had to. Does it make us harder? Do we not want? Do we always have the wall? And you're nearly afraid to let it down and be courageous and want to support other women and want to do it because you have that bit of, I don't want to be vulnerable.
Well, is it the lack of vulnerability, or is it the compulsion to be competitive?
Yeah, valid point.
Like, and this is what has me questioning, like, is it women? Or is it equestrians? Or is it equestrian women? You know,
I
and
think
it's
it's
just so interesting. Like, I know it goes deeper. Like, I know people have said before that, like, women even take equestrianism outside of it. Like, women kind of would try and compete for a man's
yeah,
affection, and they would
yeah,
compete for positions and all this sort of stuff. Like, it's definitely kind of ingrained. But I just wonder, because Abby she just kind of said something last night, and she was like, if we just keep support and kind of shouting for each other,
yeah,
you know. And I think probably on the back of the Olympics and having like the whole country like rallying behind members
yeah.
regardless of gender, you know, that feeling is so powerful. And I would just love if more women benefited from it, and that we had that on a consistent
Yeah,
basis, that like it wasn't that we were pitted against each other either as women or as equestrians.
yeah,
And I just wonder, in that event last night, I think it was so exclusively positive. You know, the
yeah,
vibe was great. Where does that change when it comes to livery yards where there's known tension? You know, even competitions where you hear people being discussed on the sidelines, or
yeah.
especially online. Okay, I think we could
Oh,
probably say online it's because they're online that they feel the freedom to be able to voice
100%. Keyboard
absolute
warriors.
hatred,
They're
hate.
not
Yeah,
speaking somebody face to face. And even like I know I was lagging about TikTok rabbit holes last week, but I deleted TikTok this week because
yeah,
every time I went on, it was somebody giving out about somebody else, or have you seen the drama with this, or have you seen what's going on with this? And like to me, TikTok was a bit of crack. Like I wanted to
yeah,
watch vlogs and I wanted to watch silly banter and people eating random things from China I've never heard of. And like
yeah,
it
yeah.
was a switch off my brain,
Yes,
like,
yes,
but
yes, that's true.
it, it became, and like for me that doesn't do TikTok. Like, I mean, I think I have one TikTok video and it's probably Theo if I thought about it logically enough, but I don't want that negativity. I don't
Yeah.
want to have it. So like even listening to Abby talking last night, and she is so open on Instagram and she gives so freely of her entire life and
Mm.
is so open and honest about it all. And to know that she has to step away and take a step back.
But if
But
she
what I think,
wasn't alone in that, would
yeah,
she have to take a step back?
this is such an important discussion. It is, Chrissy, I agree.
Like,
I don't know because
would she have to have a break from it? Like, I'm talking like a kind of a break where she feels like she has to, rather than it just being a choice on her part. But
yeah,
like, if she feels like she has to, then, you know, but if more women did what she was doing, or what we're all kind of trying to do, and just kind of show up and just
yeah,
be
be there for each other.
ourselves and just be
Yeah.
supportive, and just less of the judgment, then, you know, why shouldn't it be a place where we go to join? Like, I mean, the thoughts of joining a Facebook group for women, for starters, and then like you add in the horses and all the kind of arguments that you get around everything with the horses,
Yeah.
every kind of aspect of even riding or handling, or just the differences in opinions. We
But
lose respect for each other when we're talking about those things. How did that happen?
that's
Why does that happen?
exactly what I was going to say. Like, I mean, if you're standing in front of somebody and you're looking at them warming up or you're looking at them competing, you're not going to walk over and go, that was a bit shite, wasn't it? But people feel that it's okay to write it because we're behind a screen. And it's so disrespectful and it's nearly become like part of our culture that it's accepted that it's okay to do that.
So
Like even that reel that
yeah,
we shared this morning, that like that man felt that it was okay to come on and comment on her weight. If he was
yeah,
standing in front of her, would he say that? Would
yeah.
would that be a conversation that you would want to
So
open?
what can we do then? And kind of like, even, God, is there a bit of a theme coming here with the podcast that we spoke about last week with the period products, and saying like, oh, you know, like if you see something that needs doing, like just, you know, ask if you can do it.
Yeah,
But what could we do or say? Like, I kind of feel like there's a phrase that I've been using when I haven't been sure of their intentions, put it that way, and I've been saying, what do you mean by that?
yeah.
You know, and giving them a chance to kind of explain themselves, but having them look inwards first
See, I
before they do
love
that.
that because you're
But it's
challenging
not
somebody with
confrontational.
confrontation, exactly. But you're
And I'm
making them
curious,
think about their
you
words.
know, yeah, but does that work as effectively online? Like, should we, and no more than, you know, what, like, if you stay silent, are you part of the problem rather
Yeah.
than part of the solution? So, like, should we have phrases, and should we have key things that we feel comfortable enough saying, either on person or in person or online, to try and change that,
Yeah.
you know, and to try and even walking into a yard, like for a young girl walking into a livery yard that's established, that's daunting.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know who, it's daunting,
Yeah.
you know, and then to hear about some of the problems that they have, and I know it's not across the board, but it's still, you love if everyone just kind of had each other's backs,
Yeah.
wouldn't you? Like,
Well, the
and I
world would
suppose
be
the
a lot
Olympics then on the back of it just being so kind of powerful, and like the energy around the support was just incredible. And it was just, I just love that. I would love that for women. I would just love that for women.
for everybody. Did you see or did I send you? I can't remember if I saved it or I sent it. It was a piss take reel. I think it came up on Instagram, and it was 2050, and it was when women have taken over ruling the world. Did I send you that one?
When women have what? Sorry?
Have taken over ruling the world.
Oh,
And it's a boardroom of the women sitting around in a circle.
No, I haven't seen that.
I must try and find it, and if I do, I will actually share it. It is, now it's very much tongue in cheek, but it's how are we doing on climate change? Oh, we sorted that years ago. Don't worry, that's all done and dusted. And international affairs, we sat down and had a cup of tea and we chatted it all out. Now we understand the differences, so that's fine. We have that box ticked, and it's the whole way around the table. It is very much tongue in cheek, but it actually made me go, God, is it lack of communicate, the right types of communication, the right types of conversations? Like, is this, are we not, are we afraid to call people out? Are we afraid to say, oh, that's actually not very nice? Like, I know even Park saw a comment on something on Twitter there a while ago. I actually can't remember what it was, but he called the person out, and the comments after were horrific the whole way down along. And like,
this is gonna sound so kind of like a slight flip in the script, but like, when we were at the RDS a couple of weeks ago, and remember I was queuing for feckin' animal balloons. Anyway, that was a long queue. It took a while. But in the queue in front of me, there was this little guy, and somebody said, his friend or the person in the queue in front of him said, "Oh, you should get," it was face painting as well. So they're like, "Oh, you should get this one, or you should get this one. Oh, well, this one is blue, so you should get that one because you're a boy, and this one is pink, whatever." And the little fella, right, and I'd say he was only about 5, was like, "Actually, all like boys and girls can wear pink and blue, right? You don't have to be, you know, like blue to wear, or sorry, a boy to wear blue, and vice versa." And his mom turned around to me and was like, "I'm so proud." I was like, he's listening. He's listening.
I love that. I love
so
that. That
it's
is
a case of like consistency and like saying it, like this kind of, it's making me think, like, you know, I know like it's not going to happen overnight, but I would just love for us to kind of get a little bit more, just have each other's backs, and even have, you know, the next generation coming up just knowing no different, zero tolerance, and just kind of going like, that's not cool. Even if it's just that's not cool. What you're saying there about that person is just not cool.
Oh, what was the lady's name? Oh, golly, excuse my lack of memory and ignorance now. What was the lady's name that committed suicide, or died by suicide, should I say, not committed suicide? And there was the hashtag.
Was it Caroline Flack?
Did they?
Wasn't it? Yeah.
That was her passing away obviously had a huge impact, and everybody was very vocal about it. And for like a month, 2 months afterwards, it was all everybody was talking about, and there was a huge difference. But then it just nearly automatically slipped away, and everybody nearly forgot, and it just went straight back again.
Which is kind of like form, you know what I mean? Like, that does happen. Everyone's kind of shook, and then all of a sudden, then it loses its the further you get from it, the less kind of relevant it feels to you. You know what I mean? But I think we just need consistency in how we respect each other and like respectfully disagree, I think is fundamentally what the equestrian community needs, because we have so many different approaches, so many different horses. Like our horses are not the same. We are not the same. So no textbook, rule book, judgment is going to work. Like, I mean, as across the board. So I just think having that kind of respectful, like it's the benefit of the doubt too, isn't it? It's trying to be sure that like assume the best of people until you hear otherwise, and then it like that. If you hear otherwise, just like as in if you hear somebody speaking or you read somebody speaking badly, it's like that's not cool. Like, no thanks, bye. Block them, delete the comment, whatever. It's not a place for it.
You don't have to follow me. I'm not going to follow you.
Have you had much pushback on your social media?
I've had three instances that gave me a bit of a kick. A couple of little comments, but nothing that really got me. Do you remember we actually hadn't started Equitas very long, and I was getting a little bit of hate, and somebody had set up an Instagram page, and it was after I had published the article about having alopecia, and they had come back to say that I didn't have it and I was making it up, and I was making it up for attention. And that was a kick. That was a big, big kick. And I was very surprised at my reaction because it hurt. Like it really, and I had to take a little step back and have a little think. So I sent them back a message and I said that I didn't feel that I had to prove myself to anybody, but that I was going to be out this weekend, and they obviously felt that they needed to talk about something and they could meet me for a pint if they wanted to. So no,
like you see that was a real polite way of saying like, you okay?
Do you need to have a talk? Like, I'm not a confrontational person anyway. I have funny ways to get my points across, but I don't like confrontation. I'm not very good at confrontation. Now, I did get there was one incident I won't talk about because it wasn't particularly pleasant, but there was another one where a friend of mine, Polly Jam was in Clare's, and a friend of mine had finished the end of a cup of hot chocolate. And she had put the cup was empty, and she'd put the cup up to Polly Dam's mouth, and he was licking the top of it. And I thought this was hilarious. Here's my giant big oaf of a horse licking the top of this cup. And I put the video online, and I got a phone call from our local ISPCA to ask me if they could come and inspect my horse because of the video. Somebody had reported the video that I was giving him chocolate. And now they came out, they looked at Paul's, or I didn't have TO at the time, they looked at Polly Dan, they looked at Annabelle, it was all fine. They looked at June, everything was obviously above board and it was all grand. But that was a big kick in the teeth for me. Now I got some really
God.
Yeah, it wasn't. And I started questioning why I was doing it and why I wanted to do it. Now, I'm stubborn enough that I didn't actually take down the video. The video is still there for anybody that would like to see Polly Tam licking the inside of a cup. But it really opened my eyes to how toxic things can be. And like so the lady that came out was lovely, and she was like, look, this has been reported, so I have to investigate. So 100%. Come out, take a look around. Here's my feed room. Here's my tack room. Like, these are my horses. This is my fields. I have nothing to hide. If you want, I had Polly Jam home at the time, but if they wanted to see Claire's, come out, whatever. It was very open, very, like, here's all of our cattle.
And were you, like, incredibly nervous? Even though you know everything's above board, like, you're having somebody walk in, literally, to judge you and find fault. Like, does that not make you absolutely like
very, very, very nervous? And like, we live on a farm, and our farm is very old, and like, I mean, Brennan's have been in Ballyharmon for 400 years, and some of our sheds are there a couple of 100 years, but it made me nervous, and it made me kind of question, why am I doing this? Do I really actually want to do this? Like, this was an outlet. This was somewhere that I wanted to meet people and communicate with people and have fun doing
Yeah.
it. So I did. I got very nervous. I'm not going to lie. Like, it shook. Like, I was to my core. I was kind of going, Jesus. Like, I mean, like, Polydam is lame and then he's sound and he's lame and he's sound and that's him and he's now fully retired and
Yeah.
he's my beautiful field animal. But if this lady comes out and he's lame, is this another black mark? Like, where does it end? Where does it lie? I didn't know. Now, to be fair to the lady, like, she has called in and out a few times, and I have often said to her, drive down the yard, drive down, have a look, do whatever you have to do. I fully understand this is your job. This, you know, there's no, as
Open
I
door
say, which
policy, like anytime. Yeah.
rock on in. Would you like a peacock?
Yeah.
I'll include one while you're here. Like, there's not, like, this is who we are. But it shook.
Yeah.
It shook. It was not
That was
pleasant.
definitely scar now, I have to say.
Yeah. Well,
Laura's in again. She's like, you'd wonder what's wrong with people won't talk about the riding school pony that I used to, or that used to eat my breakfast roll on a Saturday morning. He's still going 15 years later. Nothing wrong with a good breakfast
love
roll.
it. Yeah, love it. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
I was asked a very interesting question today.
Who did, sorry?
And I was asked a very
Oh,
interesting
yeah.
question by somebody who's not horsey at all. And they were out at home. And Theo was in our front field, so you can see him when you drive in. And then the ladies and gent are in the back field. So they were asking me about my horses and what I was doing. So I was explaining and I was going through their histories and what they've done. And they said to me, do you feel any less of an equestrian now because you're not riding?
Mm.
I didn't know
Yeah.
how to answer that question. I had no idea how to, because a piece of me does, because
Mm-hmm.
I think my mindset was so linked to I ride horses for a living, and that was my identity. What do you do? I ride horses. That has been my answer for 20 odd years. I ride horses. And I didn't know how to answer. I didn't know what to say. I said, no, my horses are on a break. They're all very happy. They're all, look at them, sitting
Yeah.
around there delighted. They don't care they're not being ridden. But it really made me sit back and kind of go, oh, am I? Does it make me less of an equestrian if I don't ride or I don't compete?
Well, I think we can categorically say no. Do you know what I
No.
mean? But for the fact that, like that, and it's funny actually, because you say, like, so you're answering a question that I've had, like, for years. When someone says, what do you do for a living? Like, I never said I rode horses. I never knew what to say. So I'd say, like, I worked in the equestrian industry, or I was a coach, or I was like, I was like, what am I? I'm not going to turn around and say I'm an equestrian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like what you say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the fact that you say I ride horses, I was like, oh, that kind of explains it. Do you know what I mean? Because I always felt that I had to back it up with an explanation. But it's yeah, you could safely say no. It doesn't make you any less of an equestrian, but does it absolutely stab you in the heart because you're going, oh, things have changed.
Definitely. And like, I've gone from riding 6, 7, 8, 9 horses in a day to waving across the fields.
Yeah.
You're beautiful, I love you.
I'd love to hear. So, like, so you've changed your kind of career, which has
Mhm.
affected that. I've had 2 babies that have affected that. I wonder what other reasons people have, or how have they dealt with either wanting to not ride
Yeah.
or having, like, not being able to ride, and have they found the same thing? Or either kind of, the other thing that kind of fascinates me as well is that when people make the decision to leave the equine industry,
Yeah. Yeah.
what has made them make that choice? You know
Well,
what I mean?
I had a really good
And again,
conversation
no
with my
judgment here. Like, I mean, I'm curious. It's not
I am genuinely fascinated. Like, I asked Eileen, did she remember the last time she sat on a horse? And was it a conscious decision that that was going to be her last time on a horse? Because it's not until now that I'm getting older and Fiona's getting older and I obviously don't bounce the way I used to, and I would be more cautious about the type of horse they ride and what I'm doing now, that it's getting to a point where I'm going, someday I'm not going to be able to ride a horse. And I'm
Yeah.
not ready for that day yet. Let's clarify. I am not there yet. In my head, I'm going to be 70 and still walking around on Theo. Like, that's how it's going to be because I can't think of it any other way. But, like, is it, I'd love to know, and again, obviously, no judgment, is it a conscious decision? Or do you just realize one day that you haven't gotten back up and that's where you are now and that's it?
Yeah, I'd love to hear people's kind of own stories with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we can probably speculate and we can relate obviously in our own circumstances. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear how people or what they've kind of been through or decided, either had decided for them or decided themselves.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I've just written down to bring up on another pod that the kind of falls you've had. We should go through them. Because you said there that you don't bounce like you used to, and the last time I didn't bounce, oh my lord, I was shook.
Oh, yeah.
The first time I
Yeah.
realized that I was getting on.
We're gonna have to do like
Yeah,
a top to toe because
yeah.
like
We don't even have the time to
oh,
cover it tonight, but that's definitely one
definitely
that we'd
not.
love to hear. Like if anyone wants to share their fall stories, like funny or
Yeah,
otherwise, whatever. Like
I'd love to hear those
to
actually.
spark it off and give you him, like I'd say well, not my first fall, but one of the stupidest falls I had, and I mean you couldn't even really call it a fall, but I was trying to jump up on. Well, he's actually my oldest pony that I have now, but he was bought originally. So this is Axel that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's a wee 14-2 pony that I've had for years, but he was bought by a friend of mine, right? So our riding school closed down, and all the horses kind of from there got dispersed and sold out or whatever. And so she bought this big grey fella, and she ended up selling him the following year and bought Axel. But I went. We were 14, right? We got the bus from Swords out to Pinseely, which isn't very far, but at 14,
Yeah.
you may as well be,
Yeah.
you know. Um, so we got the bus over to Concealy, rode him, fell in love with him. She bought him, like not an adult in sight, not an adult in sight, all right? Got the bus back and Axel was delivered. Yeah. So, but he was the absolute best pony, so much so that he ended up, when she was kind of outgrown him, she ended up selling him to my mom's friend who had 3 kids at the time. And I was a little bit older than they were. I was doing a bit of babysitting, and I was also doing a little bit of kind of teaching, like lead rein
Yeah.
probably stuff on using Axel to do it. And he went off and he did loads of pony clubs for the 3 kids throughout the years and everything like that, and was great. And then when I was kind of setting up and teaching in my place, I was like, I want an Axel. Like I need an Axel. I need something that's that size, just that solid, blah blah blah. And I couldn't find one, obviously. And then Judy rang me and she was like, we're actually selling them. And I was like, thank you. Like, she could have charged me whatever the hell she wanted, realistically. But I was like, yeah. And so he's been out with me now. The last couple of years, he's been out with the local vet. He's been
Yeah.
babysitting foals, is what he's been doing. That's been his life.
Oh,
But he ended, we were in the yard at the time, Brett owned him, and I had Abby, my big 16-3. And obviously, fun fact, I can't vault. I can't jump up on a horse. Like,
never could.
not even close. Not even close. We're fascinated by the people that could do it. The other way, like, in the riding schools, you used to run around and pretend to jump the fences, like, on foot. No, couldn't do it.
Oh no.
I'm obviously
Oh,
very
no.
heavy-footed or something. I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not airborne. I can't do it. But I tried to vault up on Axel because he was half the size of Abby. And I got there eventually, but went over the far side of him because he was bareback. I just slid right off. And like, I was so embarrassed, but it was so funny at the time. I was like, you can't write this. But like, that is one that is so silly, but has stuck with me. And now every time, like, I remember having pony camps and stuff like that in my place, and I'd be like, willing the kids to do it. I'd be like, go on, hop up there bareback and, whatever, trying to recreate it almost. But it was just absolute comical. And when I think back of some of the falls that I've had, so we have to put that on the topic for the next week or so.
Oh, definitely. We'll do it next week. Let's make next week's
I
one
know.
our funny falls. Our quirky
Yeah. Or
silly falls.
memorable
Oh,
pause.
oh, yeah, no, I have a good one, and I'll keep it in my head till next week.
Yeah. Do.
It,
Let's,
it's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that now. That will be entertaining. I'm going to have to make a list. Jesus Christ. I used to say to the kids, I was like, when they have their first fall, I'd be like, oh, like now you're a proper rider or whatever. And I was like, fall another 100 times and you're like me. And then
That's
I
it.
like,
That's
they'd be
what
like,
we
oh,
show.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Like fall
Well,
off 100 times. Oh God, I'm only
yeah,
on three. I can't do it.
I know. It's gas. Right, your rides and wrongs of the week. What is
My
your ride of the
ride,
week?
my ride of the week. So obviously, I spend a lot of time in the rugby club. Everybody knows that at this stage, it's second home here. But what you might not know is I am a manager of an all-inclusive team here in the rugby club. So it's for kids with special
You
abilities from the
are
age of
a
4. You
dark horse.
don't know that, sir.
No, I didn't know that
Yeah.
specific detail,
So
Madam
myself and a
President.
friend of mine and the Carlow Sports Partnership and the Spirit of Rugby up in the IRFU pre-COVID started the first all-inclusive rugby team here in Carlow. So the kids are back training on Thursday. And they obviously we don't follow the rugby season. We kind of train and play through the summer because the weather is nicer. Basically, it's easier on the kids and it's easier on the parents to get out. So we take our break for about a month and a half. So we have our first training session back on Thursday and we have a blitz in Barn Hall on Sunday. And I actually cannot wait to see the kids back out.
That's so
They
nice.
would, Sarah, I'm telling you, some Thursday come down. They are just the most amazing set of children and parents and young adults.
And what age ranges are they?
So we have our youngest is Daisy and she's 5, and then we go up to Brandon and Brandon is 22. So they split it. So you have junior and senior teams. So the junior teams are under 14 and the senior teams are, or sorry, under 15 and the senior teams are over 15. But you can play any age. Like we have kids in wheelchairs. We have all kinds of special abilities. And what I absolutely adore, it's one of my favorite things, is we also accept their siblings. So you don't have
Yeah.
to have special abilities. You can come in and you can play with your siblings here. And we have kids that come down and this is the only sport that they can actually play together, that they can come out and they can train and go and play together. And it genuinely, it does my soul good. It's one of
Oh,
my
that is so
utmost
nice.
favorite things every year. I would give my heart and soul. Like when I'm long gone out of the club, I would love to think that the bees will always be here.
Yeah,
Always. Like that it's just set for life. It's one of my utmost favorites. So I'm really looking forward to Thursday because they're back on Thursday.
I love
So
that.
I'm really looking forward to that. And I have a silly wrong this week. I finished Brassic on Netflix and I really miss
What
it.
is it?
Brassic. Now,
Okay, so I canceled my Netflix because I spent more time looking for things to watch than actually watching anything.
so it is like a funny, very dark English version of Love Hate. It
Okay.
is not one for the kids. Gonna call it over 18s only on this one now, lads. Putting it out there, like headphones in because Fion's bedroom is beside our sitting room. Like, there's a line, but I actually missed it, which I know sounds really stupid, but I was really enjoying it, and it's
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 left a bit of
quite
a hole. It's left a bit of a hole.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely like the it's quite so the main character in it is a schizophrenic bipolar man. And it talks about his mental health a lot and how he deals with his mental health. Now it's very drug based and very party and
Yeah.
there's lots of stuff. But you laugh, you'll cry, you will cringe, you won't want to watch some of it and everything in between. I just loved it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
absolutely loved it.
Well,
So
that's
what are yours there?
good. My ride of the week is I have found a green tea and lemon.
Oh, good call.
It hit the spot for me because obviously I've been so tired.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I keep saying I apologize. This is not a sleep podcast or anything, but I have been so tired that I felt the need for obviously more coffee, and I was like, I can't have
Yeah.
any more coffee because I'm still breastfeeding. So I was like
And it's a
limited to 2 cups a day, and I also was like, let's just kind of do the right thing here, and I was trying to find somewhat of an alternative. And I have to say the green tea, and I'm actually looking forward to it in the evenings now. I'm looking forward to even exploring other teas. So if anyone has any recommendations for teas that help with sleep or that are just that kind of feel good factor, I would love to know. I mean, it sounds so like far from the gin and tonic I had last week, but that'll be back next week. And then my wrong for this week is Bree. Bree got her vaccinations this morning. So it's been a full-on day, and then Brie got her vaccination. And like the thing is with Brie, right? She's really, really like I'm not gonna say stubborn, but she's very, very sure of like So she's given out, she's given out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like 90% of the time, she's super happy.
Yeah.
But she proper give it out to me. Now not for very long, but proper give out to me, and she's just sore. Her real legs are sore this evening. Now I have her on painkillers and stuff like that, but she's just off. You know what I mean? And I just feel like an absolute heel. And she has to get another one in a month's time. And then that's her then to school. But I just was like, I'm delicate. Like between Paige going to school and then Brie, I was like, I'm feeling like a torture woman.
And we take
that's like wrong for the week, and I know it's for the greater good and everything, but look, it's just I kind of feel her pain, and I just she's so good about it too, which almost makes it worse. But anyway, but that has been, I mean, for an episode that wasn't in any way planned, Mer, that was I've had to make notes of the stuff that we kind of broke down or that we hit on, because I was like, it was very random. But thank you everybody for tuning in, because there was lots of people that tuned in live, and I got a few comments and stuff. I'm sure we've missed comments. I'm so sorry if we have. But thank you so much for tuning in, and we will publish this on Spotify and YouTube and all the kind of places they like to catch up. So don't forget to check them out there, and share them. We appreciate the odd share and feedback. Absolutely, feedback. We're open to all of that and topics. So get them all into us. And thank you once again for joining us.
I'm going out to check the score of the match.
Tweet.